Welcome back, survivor. If you can hear this, it means you're still alive. This is Jack's Nightmares, and this is your next story. The containment call dropped in just as I was double-checking the harness locks on my suit. I was in Bay 8, third rotation, just finishing prep for routine deck pressure drills when control cut in with priority tone. Cryogenics, sub-level 3. Not life support, not power systems, not anything critical for orbit. Just cryo, the section everyone forgets about until something leaks. The alert was flagged as contained, low priority, suspected biomass accumulation in the ventilation ductwork, maybe spore-bearing. Standard protocol, isolate, sterilize, recover personnel. The alert used the phrase tissue bloom, which never sounds good, but also never means panic, until it does. I acknowledged the order and told control I'd be en route with a 4-person unit in 5 minutes. Same as usual. Same as a dozen other breach responses this month. I zipped the last seal on the underlayer, locked the chest plate over it, and smacked the helmet into place with one practiced movement. The internal diagnostics cycled green. O2 pressure, regulator status, thermal balance, all in range. My wrist slate pulsed the team icon. Everyone was already moving. I grabbed my case, slung it hard against my hip, and walked out with the weight of it knocking against my leg. That kit held 20 pounds of gear I'd memorized by feel. I didn't think about it anymore. The corridor was quiet as I crossed over to the service lift. Lighting on this side of the station was solid. No flicker in the overhead panels. That meant the issue hadn't jumped systems or tripped a deck-wide lockdown. A small mercy. In this place, if the light started to flicker red, you knew something bigger had broken containment. We weren't there. Yet. Not this time. I met the team at the lift. Briggs had the hydraulic cutter slung under one arm. Carla wore the backpack rig for the industrial burner, nozzle already in hand. Lennox stood beside the stretcher, tapping the slate screen mounted to the side rail, reviewing atmosphere filters and vacuum sealers. None of us were in a talking mood. After this long out here, you knew when small talk had no place. The lift dropped fast once I keyed in cryo access. We dropped through decks 7 and 6, and the cold bled in before the doors opened. That sector never ran warm. Even with the heating grid at nominal, cryogenics felt like walking into an open meat locker with the fans on. As the doors split, the blast of air that hit us wasn't just cold. It had that sticky sweet smell again. Old fluid, decomposed organic waste, freon, and something else. Carla grimaced inside her helmet and said it smelled like thawed death. I told her to cinch her nasal filter tighter. She did. I watched her hands fumble the strap slightly. She was nervous. I was too. We moved through bulkhead 1 without delay. Seal integrity checked out. No pressure imbalance. Bulkhead 2, same readout. But just beyond the second barrier, the outer corridor was sealed by a transparent isolation partition. That was where the temperature dropped further, enough that frost laced the inside of the glass in patterns like dried veins. The emergency lighting beyond it was locked in warning mode, red floor strips and low visibility in the walls. I could see through the frost enough to make out that strange off-grey tint across the interior surfaces. It didn't look wet. It looked like it had soaked into the metal. Station voice repeated the same warning on a 30-second loop. Emergency alert. Stay inside. Stay quiet. It was the standard recording. But hearing it while staring at that hallway felt different now. I checked my wrist slate again. Life sign returns were patchy, but confirmed at least 6 suit signatures in the sector. Could have been night shift crew plus medics. One ping was moving. The others were locked in clusters near the vent system on the east wall. That was where biogrowth usually started. Condensate drips, trace minerals, ambient warmth from recirc fans. Ideal for feeding things that weren't supposed to grow here. We cleared the first isolation hatch. The air pressure hissed in protest as the atmosphere equalized. Then the inner hatch unlocked with a low grind. The sound was mechanical, slow. We pushed into the passage between the glass partitions. Fog immediately crawled up our visors from inside our suits. Not moisture, but particles reacting to the filtered light. The interior of the main corridor was no longer frost-coated. It was blurred over with a living haze. My glove wiped a small patch clean and revealed what was waiting beyond the partition. 30 meters of hallway, walls and ceiling overtaken by a reddish film that pulsed every few seconds like it was breathing. Not expanding, not contracting, just moving. I keyed my mic and sent a report to control. I confirmed live tissue presence across corridor length to the T-junction. We hadn't lit anything up yet. No fire until we confirmed where the crew was. Control acknowledged and told us both medics had last pinged near vent stack 5. That was where the worst of the signal loss came from. Carla raised the burner nozzle slightly. Briggs shifted his grip on the cutter. Lennox pulled the stretcher back a half step to keep it out of the tissue's path. As we moved in, the sound changed. You could hear the station humming under your boots out here, and usually it meant nothing. But now the vibration was muffled, like something was absorbing sound and reprocessing it. Every bootstep felt like it happened in another room. To our left were 4 cryopods that hadn't made it to transfer. Their lids were open, chamber interiors were dry. Whoever was on shift cleared them before the breach. That told me someone here had training and didn't panic. That bought us time. I stepped over a thick cluster of the tissue that had wrapped around a doorframe. It had the look of braided fiber optics. Not a vine, not organic the way Earth biology looks organic. The cords were coated in a translucent sheen, and under the right light, you could see small blistered growths along the edges. Cysts, or maybe venting pores. Lennox warned about boot seals. I took the warning seriously. The floor was coated in thin ridges that could slice rubber if you dragged your foot instead of stepping clean. Carla tapped her burner's pilot and the nozzle hissed for a second. I told her to keep it cold until we reached the medics. She nodded once and said nothing. The junction came fast. It always felt short when the adrenaline kicked in. On the right side, halfway down a ladder shaft, vent stack 5 had burst. The grill had been warped outward. Something had forced its way through. Around the base of the stack, the tissue had grown into a collapsed nest, threading itself around the emergency ladder and forming a kind of ribbed tunnel. That's where I saw them. 2 suits, both medic red stripe, partially engulfed in the build-up. One was still. The other was twitching a hand in slow, unfocused circles. Not trying to escape, just moving like he'd lost track of his own limbs. I told Briggs to take the cutter to the grill and clear a way in. Carla dropped to one knee and dialed the burner to low blue, then pulsed a fan across the surface of the outer growth. The material recoiled. The outer layer shrank and hardened. That gave Briggs space to jam the cutter between the steel slats and lever the grill upward. It took 2 pulls, but it came loose with a metallic pop. Lennox brought the stretcher close and began prepping the clamps and emergency oxygen feed. I ducked under the first layer of tissue. The medic closest to me had a cracked faceplate. Right side shattered, but the internal liner looked like it hadn't ruptured. He was alive. I braced under his armpits, tilted him sideways to avoid dragging his neck ring, and pulled. His body was light, limp. Whatever strength he had was gone. Lennox got the stretcher lock engaged and kicked on the pressure cycle. The stretcher hissed as it began airflow. Carla kept the burner low, forming a buffer line between the tissue wall and the medic's body. The second medic was smaller and buried deeper. The tissue had wrapped around his legs and partially up one side of his torso. I tried to get a grip, but his body didn't budge. Briggs dropped in beside me and rammed the cutter close to the material. He started tearing it away. As it came loose, something inside twitched. A small tendril, thin, rigid, and lined with ridges like bone, snapped forward through the surface. It hit my arm. The impact wasn't forceful, more like a sharp poke. I looked down and saw the thorn embedded just above my wrist where the suit's inner layer had torn under pressure. The tip was dark, stained, and hot. I felt the sting immediately. Not pain, just heat. I yanked my arm back by instinct. The thorn snapped off inside. Lennox swore and moved to pull me back, but I waved him off. Carla lifted the burner and gave the tissue another burst. This time she stayed on it a little longer. It shrank again, collapsed into itself. I managed to get both arms under the second medic and drag him out. The faceplate was fogged and streaked with red from inside. I didn't need to check twice. No breath. No movement. We lost him. I sealed him in the recovery bag and tagged his ID on my slate. Then I looked back at my arm. The puncture was small, but black around the edges, like dried blood in a half-inch ring. The suit's outer layer had torn clean. The inner membrane was sliced. I radioed control and reported a penetrating injury from a live organic hazard. Small, no active bleeding, no neural disruption at the moment. Control didn't hesitate. I was ordered to complete evac of the surviving medic and proceed immediately to isolation. No argument. A short confirmation tone in my ear said everything else had already been logged. We sealed the survivor into the stretcher pod and initiated medlock. The unit took over oxygen control and started baseline scan telemetry. The medic's lips were moving under the cracked plate, forming sounds that didn't reach us. I told him to stay still and that we'd get him out. I could tell he didn't hear me. Carla flashed the burner over the tissue once more, forming a burned arc to keep it back. Briggs stayed close, covering us with the cutter. Lennox guided the stretcher. We walked backward through the corridor, brushing tissue away from the walls with padded shoulders and elbows, making sure none of it reached the patient again. By the time we reached the inner partition, station security was waiting for us. They took the stretcher and moved the medic out of the way fast. I stepped aside, raised my arm, and showed the puncture site to the nurse. He was already in a sealed suit and had a sterilization cart prepped. No hesitation. He cleaned the area with pressurized spray and tried to extract the fragment using micro tweezers. The tip crumbled, too brittle. He had to slice the skin to pull the rest. When it came free, he flushed the wound with reactive wash and taped a pressure pad over it. The wash stung. I could feel the pad warming immediately as the chemical reacted with the exposed tissue. He sealed the torn inner membrane of my suit with a thermal patch, tested it for leaks, then scanned my vitals. Skin temperature was up a degree. I felt normal, but he didn't like the numbers. He said a quarantine chamber was already prepped. I nodded and didn't argue. I'd been through 2 false alarms before. This one felt different. They walked me down the east service wing to chamber 9. A clean cube, clear walls, reinforced seams, airlock door, basic sink, fold-out cot, sealed toilet, and an old surveillance cam in the top corner with a blinking red LED. There was a panic rope hanging next to the bed, microphone in the ceiling. The door sealed behind me with a soft mechanical pop and a triple tone. I sat down, flexed my fingers, and watched the edge of the pressure pad ripple faintly as my forearm throbbed. I ran through protocol in my head. No solids for 6 hours. Water only. No physical contact. Monitor all neurological and muscular symptoms. Report everything. I recited the list into the ceiling. The overhead mic clicked. Then a voice confirmed it was logged. I leaned back against the wall and stared at my own reflection in the glass, watching the lights flicker through it, watching for movement that shouldn't be there. I still felt fine. That didn't last. At hour 10, the industrial alarm goes off on the cryo deck. The voice in the walls repeats a new line. Emergency alert. Stay inside. Stay quiet. It keeps that rhythm for a while, then returns to the usual status tones. I ask the ceiling if there is another breach. The nurse says a sensor tripped during cleanup. My team is fine. I nod and feel my shoulders ease. A minute later, those same shoulders tense without my help. A creeping pull climbs my neck on the left side. The skin near the puncture looks normal, a bit pink. The pad over it has darkened. The nurse tells me to lift the pad so the camera can see. I peel it back. The puncture mark is a small circle with a darker dot in the center. The skin around it looks dry. The nurse tells me to cover it again. Sleep does not come. I sit with my back against the wall and watch the light shift across the floor as the station rotates. There is a faint green blink from the air system every 7 breaths. I use that blink to count. 7 blinks. 14. 21. At 28, I catch my right hand moving on its own. The fingers curl in sequence from the pinky to the thumb, then relax. I hold my right hand with my left. The curl pushes against my grip. I hold harder. It pauses, then stops. I set my hands flat on my thighs and stare at them. I breathe through my mouth because my nose feels tight. It escalates fast from there. A rolling wave across both forearms, small muscles first, then larger ones. My neck jerks to the side. My jaw clenches. My tongue hits a tooth and I taste a line of iron. I press my lips into a tight line and sit still. I speak into the ceiling and say I want the sedative now. The door opens and 2 medics in sealed suits roll a cart inside. One holds my shoulder while the other preps the syringe. The needle goes in near the elbow. The sedative washes through quick. My head goes light. My limbs feel heavy. The medics back out. The door seals with a shudder. The sedative helps me drift. I do not go under all the way. I rest in a warm space between sleep and wake. The twitching is still there but dull. The bed firm under my back. The camera light in the corner a little smear in the dark. I think about a vacation I never took. I had a plan once to burn a week in the rec ring, float in the hydro tank, listen to static and sleep. I stay on that for a while and then the weight in my right arm lifts. The arm rises straight up and hangs there in the dim light like a stranger reached down and pulled it by a string. I do not move it. I cannot. It hangs, then bends at the elbow and rotates the wrist. My fingers flex and curl. The muscles tighten so hard the tendons stand like wires under the skin. I try to let the sedative take me deeper, but the room will not let me slip away. My arm drops without warning and smacks my chest. The air leaves me in a weak grunt. I take a breath and try to call to the ceiling, but my voice comes out rough and broken. The words turn to a rasp. I try again and manage a few clear syllables. Help, something is wrong. The door opens and 3 figures in sealed suits step in. Han speaks through the speaker in the wall. The voice is steady. Han tells me to stay calm and says the sedative can be increased. Ruiz tapes my wrists to the bed rails. Another medic tapes my ankles. I do not complain. I do not fight it. I do not want to knock my own teeth out or break my nose with my own hand. Ruiz apologizes for the tape. I nod and say do it. My voice sounds wrong coming back off the glass. Both wrists, both ankles. One strap over the thighs. One across the chest. Not tight enough to stop breath. Tight enough to hold back a sudden jerk. Time splits into short windows. I drift. I wake when something hits. I drift again. In one window I open my eyes and see my left hand flexing against the tape. The tape creaks. The skin on the back of the hand crawls like a slow wave under it. In another window I see Han pointing at the puncture site through the glass. The pad has lifted itself. The skin under it looks dry and starts to crack in a small ring. The nurse wants to remove the pad and apply a gel. Han says to leave it. Han does not look at me when Han speaks. Han stares at the ring of skin as if it might answer. When I wake fully, the lights have shifted again. The room has that early shift grey that comes before the lamps come up. I try to move my head and cannot lift it. The strap across the chest feels tighter. Either the strap shrank or my ribs swelled. My jaw clicks when I try to open it. I turn my eyes to look at the camera. The light near it glows red. I look down at my hands. The fingers move slowly under their own control, one after the other, in a pattern that does not match any normal action. The middle finger makes a small circle, stops. Then the index pulls toward the palm and holds. The little finger trembles. The skin around the knuckles shines. It is too smooth. I try to speak. The sound does not come. The throat makes a soft buzzing, then a wet cough. No spit. My tongue feels heavy and stiff. I swallow and the swallow goes down wrong. I gag and cough again. That soft buzzing rises for a second in pitch. My eyes water. The door opens and Ruiz comes in with a suction wand. Ruiz clears the back of my throat. Clear saline washes the back of my mouth. I taste nothing. The tongue does not feel like it belongs to me anymore. Ruiz tells me to look at the ceiling for a second. I do. Ruiz shines a pen light in my eyes and notes the response. The light hurts even through the dull haze of the sedative. Ruiz leaves. This part is when I understand that I am going to stay present through something I do not want to see. I lose control of my right hand first. It curls into a fist and opens, curls and opens. Then the wrist rotates to a point well past where it should. I hear a soft crack. It is not a full break, more a click as the joint stretches. Then the forearm arcs up against the strap with a steady pressure. The strap holds for a few seconds. The glue lets go. The tape peels a tiny bit. The hand stops pushing, relaxes, and tries again. It peels another fraction of an inch. It does not rush. It does not jerk wild. It works. Han sees it and calls for reinforced restraints. The door opens and 2 security techs wheel in a metal frame. They attach the frame to the bed with clamps and slide heavy cuffs over my wrists. The cuffs lock with a snap. I feel the cuff bite down around the bone. I watch a drop of sweat run down the inside of one tech's faceplate. The drop hangs above the nose and does not fall. I want to tell that tech to wipe it. My throat will not push sound out. The tech steps back, and my body tests the new cuffs at once. The wrists pull hard. The cuffs hold. The wrists go slack. The skin around the puncture dries more. Small plates under the skin rise in a circle around it. They are not bone. They are something else. The circle widens slowly. Han films it with a lens through the glass. Not a camera on a stick, but a proper lens with focus rings. Han notes the time. I watch the second hand on my slate tick while Han films. A thin filament pulls up through the puncture and lays flat across my forearm. It looks like a pale worm, but it is not moving by itself. The skin draws it tight and new skin creeps over it. A ridge forms under the surface. Han says something to the nurse that I cannot hear. The nurse nods behind the faceplate. Ruiz looks sick but stays in place. I do not pass out. I want to. The sedative keeps me calm enough to remain present. The sedative does not take me away. I watch everything. My own breath makes a soft whine every third exhale. Nothing heavy, just a valve that sticks somewhere. The restraint straps creak in small pulses. The cuffs sit cold against the wrist bones. I count the blinks of the airflow light again. I make it to 100, and then lose count when my left foot twists inward against the strap and stays there too long. The strain bleeds into the calf tightens, the ankle holds. No break. A tone on the wall chimes, and the automated voice repeats that same line again. Emergency alert. Stay inside. Stay quiet. By the second day, movement under the skin is obvious. The tendons in the hands shift places like ropes being rerouted. The forearms thicken. The fingers grow ridges along the sides. Nails harden, and not into a normal thick nail, but into plates that look more like hoof edges. The thumb pulls lower toward the wrist and grows stronger. When the cuffs bite down, the thumb pushes against them with a force that surprises me. I do not feel pain. I feel pressure and stretch. The nerves fire signals along pathways that no longer match the old layout. My brain maps them anyway. I get used to seeing my hand flex in patterns that serve no purpose I understand. Han brings a translator set that converts small pulses in the throat into synthetic speech. It sits against my larynx like a warm coin. The voice that comes through the speaker is a flat copy of my own. I use it to say that I am still here. I ask Han to tell me how the medic we saved is doing. Han looks a little relieved to hear me speak and says the medic is in stable condition and awake. Good news. I say that is good. I ask about the dead medic. Han says the body is in cold storage. I ask about my team. Han tells me they are fine. I rest after that. It feels good to be told basic things. It keeps me planted. Then the translator starts to catch more than my voice. It catches small tones. The machine thinks they are speech. It outputs a chain of vowels. The sound is not words. Han shuts it off and checks the sensor pad. The pad is correctly placed. Han turns the device back on and asks me to say my name. I do. The tone comes through clean. Then the device spits out another sound without my input. Han frowns and shuts it off again. I do not ask to turn it back on. I can see the error in Han's eyes. I do not want to hear that noise in my voice again. I stop sleeping completely by day 3. I close my eyes and rest, but the rest is shallow. Anytime my body starts a new movement pattern, the shift drags me awake. At one point, I watch my left hand spread the fingers and press the pads into the mattress in a calculated rhythm. The pressure shifts from finger to finger in quick succession. The motion repeats and repeats as if pressing a code into the fabric. I turn my head as far as the strap allows and stare at the camera. I tell the ceiling that the hand is tapping a pattern. Han writes it down and sets a lens to record close. I stare while the pattern goes on for 15 minutes. When it stops, my hand relaxes. The fabric holds the marks for a few seconds and then springs back. My body starts to plan. That is what it looks like from the outside, and I am on the inside. But it feels like I am watching someone run drills with my frame. There is nothing random in it. The legs test the range of the restraints. The wrists test the angle of pull. The jaw slides back and forth until the hinge loosens to a new range. The tongue tries to form shapes. The translator is off, but the tongue works anyway. Then the tongue falls still and stiffens. When Ruiz comes in to swab my mouth with saline and keep the tissues moist, the tongue tries to seize the swab. Ruiz reacts fast and pulls back. The door slams. I try to apologize with my eyes. Ruiz gives me a small nod and stays outside the glass for a while, watching me like I might jump the bed. Midway through that day, the station alarms go wild. A siren from the far deck in a fast pulse. Heavy doors slam somewhere in the spine of the station. The voice in the wall loses the friendly tone and switches to a clipped cadence that sounds like a drill instructor. Emergency alert. Stay inside. Stay quiet. Remain in sealed compartments. Motion near medbay triggers a strobe in the corridor. Han tells me there was a breach near the morgue. The tissue mass in cryogenics must have spread through the air return. I imagine a ribbon of pale stuff crawling through a duct, and I shut that down because it does not help me. A crash in the medbay pulls my attention. The glass shakes. Something heavy hits the door to the hall. Security techs run past. One of them carries a rifle. The rifle looks like an old workhorse model. 30 caliber, short barrel, simple iron sights. No fancy optics that fog up in cold. The techs take positions at the cross corridor. A scream from down the hall stops short, like a wall cut it off. Then, a shape staggers into view, limping, suit half torn and hanging. The faceplate is gone. The face behind it is streaked and slack. The man walks like a person who forgot that walking needs balance. The first security tech shouts a warning, then fires. The rifle snaps 3 times. The man folds and hits the floor. No twitch. The tech racks the action, steps in, and puts another round into the head. The voice in the wall repeats that same line, now in time with the muzzle flashes from past shots. Han drops the privacy screen, says it will help keep me calm, calls what I heard a quarantine intervention. I nod and say nothing. The smell of hot metal and solvent hangs in the room. I want to ask if a rifle ends this for me. I do not. He checks my monitors and cuff readouts, speaks in a soft voice through the bedside speaker. I shut my eyes and stop listening. When the screen lifts, the hall is empty. A wet streak glistens to the morgue hatch and vanishes. My reflection in the glass looks wrong. Sclera yellowed, pupils blown wide, jaw off center, cheekbones heavy. Familiar and not. Han runs a new test. Low current near the puncture site, nothing. Higher, a tight pull, then a smooth, overlong contraction. He increases pulse length. The wave fires from forearm to bicep to shoulder until the chest strap strains. He cuts power, apologizes, and dictates notes. Infected tissue conducts with low loss and self-rectifies. It is my body he is describing. The station settles. The wall voice drops back to stay inside. Stay quiet. Security thins. A tall nurse with a tablet and a locked coffee sits outside, glancing in. I hold a picture of a field on Earth until it flickers. My left wrist turns. A soft pop. The cuff groans. The nurse hits the alarm. Sequence snaps into place. The left cuff slips a fraction. My right hand fists, thumb wedged into the cuff groove at a new angle. Metal flexes and sings. Han arrives with 3 security techs. 1 sets a rifle at a low ready. 2 pin the frame. Han presses a cold dose into my neck. 15 seconds of slack, then harder recoil. Another dose, 20 seconds. The left wrist creeps again. The rifle tech mutters and lowers the muzzle toward my knees. The hall door slams open on its own. A tall, hunched shape rushes in. Suit split, skin split worse, spines bristling. The face is wrecked, eyes wrong. It goes for the nurse. The rifle tech fires twice. Neck graze, chest hit. It keeps coming. A third shot to the head drops it. In that pocket, my right wrist gains another inch. Bones talk. The cuff bends enough to change the angle. Han hits me with more drug. It dulls me, not the body. The bolt on the cuff stretches, and then the power dies. Red strips glow. Fans fall to a whisper. The privacy screen drops by failsafe. Boots, breathing, straps straining. After 8 seconds, the generator catches. Lights return. The screen rises. The body is dragged out, a smear left and mopped. The sweet, sharp smell lingers. Han studies me for a long beat, gloved hand steady on my shoulder. He says he cannot stop the infection, but he will try to keep me present. It helps for a moment. 6 hours grind past as sounds. Nurses, boots, sprayer hiss, mop slap, the warning voice. A distant siren fading. My own jaw clicking, cuffs creaking, mattress fibers tearing under my fingers. I pull clean memories. Road, a dog at the fence, a coffee drifting sideways in spin, and watch the edges thin. Then it turns. The right wrist frees first. The palm slaps the wall and sticks, fingers pressing until prints set. Security piles in. The rifle tracks my shoulder. Han calls a dose. I watch my hand scrape down the wall, peeling skin in a tidy stripe. A test of grip, friction learned. Left wrist snaps loose, ankles go, the chest strap tears. I sit up without meaning to. The frame screams. I swing my legs off. Han orders no fire. The nurse hits the panic. My feet find grip on tile. I face the glass. I am in here, eyes open, no blink. The urge to blink goes nowhere. Han says my name twice into the mic. The mouth stays silent. Inside, I answer. Locks click. The door stays sealed. 2 techs stack shields on the glass. Han signals distance. My palms spread on the panel. Nails scrape. The glass bows and rebounds. Thick enough to stop me. My body notes it, turns to the ceiling camera. Then the run. I rip the bed frame off its anchors and smash the panel. First hit wobbles it. Second stars a corner. Third veins the center. Security shouts. The rifle rises. Han warns about ricochet. Fourth hit folds the panel. A gap opens. Cold air spills in. I squeeze through. 2 shields rush. I drive 1 tech into the wall, roll under the second, and shoulder him down. A shot pops dust from the ceiling. I take the barrel and bend it at the sight base. Steel creases. The tech releases it, hands up her. My other hand twitches for his throat and stops. I do not know if that pause belongs to me. Ruiz shocks my ribs. Current jumps through me. Fingers spasm. He swings again. I strip the baton and crush the handle. Acid leaks. Han steps in with open hands. My head tilts, reading him. For a second it calms me. Then the head turns away. The morgue door hangs open. A smear leads in. Drawers on the wall. A torn bag on the table. The vent off. The duct breathes warm. The infection likes vents. My body leans in and counts edges. Voices. Carla calls my name. She stands with Briggs and a security tech. She lifts the burner. A steady blue cone rolls to yellow at the base. She warns me once. I step. The flame kisses my chest. Skin blackens. I keep moving. A full burst chars my shoulder. I stagger and advance. The tech fires into my abdomen. Pressure through and out. I raise the bed frame and smash the tile near his boots. He dives. Carla keeps the flame high to spare the airlines. Something clears in my head. Paths lay out clean. Human bodies move slow and wrong. Duct shapes move with purpose. The fastest route to communications flashes. The plan stacks. My feet turn left and go. Doors slam. I hit one center and feel the bolt bend. A tech's arm is trapped. I step over. A sidearm empties into my back. The impacts push, not stop. A medic jabs with a press injector. I catch the wrist and twist. He drops it and cries out. I want to stop. I do not. A different call grabs me. The station tones. The recorded warning repeats. Stay inside. Stay quiet. My jaw moves, counting intervals. The dead tongue taps the palate. My hands drum the same rhythm into the wall as I run. The beat leads me onward. Communication sits behind 2 sealed doors and an old code panel. I slap the panel. The screen cracks and spits sparks. I tear the housing, expose the wires and lock motor. Bridge a pair. Nothing. Bridge another. Click. The door opens a sliver. I wedge fingers into the gap and pull until the slab screams and gives. Inside, 2 operators spin from their consoles. One reaches for the red lever. I cross the room in 2 strides and slap his hand away. The other throws a cup. It bounces, leaves a sweet, rancid stripe on my cheek. I push one operator into a chair. It rolls, tips, spills him. I do not follow. I go for the main board. I know enough about the board to be dangerous. Every station tech knows a bit. My body knows more now, and I do not think this extra knowledge came from my old training. Multiple channels, local loop, outbound link, emergency override for colony broadcast. I flip the cover on the override and press the metal key with a finger that is no longer clean. The system asks for a code. My body enters a code. It is not my code. It is the facility master code. It works. The channel opens. The station's brain makes a new shape in my head. I feel it as a map, not literal sight. A network diagram that my new brain finds easy. I select the paths that will reach every room with a speaker. I include the docked freighter. I include the cryo deck. I include the medbay where Han stands watching a dead camera feed from my room. I include the old maintenance tunnels that nobody uses. Then I speak. The translator is off. My human voice does not function. What goes out is a signal pressed into the carrier. My fingers code into the board. It is not words. It is pattern. It runs through the air, and into the walls, and out the grills, and into every ear. It is not music. It is a command to a new nervous system that lives in the ducts and the walls, and the dead who still walk. It says wake. It says move. It says do not be loud. It says learn. It says spread. I do not understand the syntax. I understand the aim. I understand that this is being done through my hands and my head, and that I am the line between the old crew and the new crew. New crew is a wrong phrase. There is no crew. There is only one purpose, and it does not care how we label it. While the signal runs, I try to interfere. Inside my head, I shout for Han. I shout for Carla. I shout for my own father, dead for years on a planet I have not seen in too long. I try to bring up the image of that dog at the fence, the one that used to follow me and wait for a crumb. The image comes and goes. It wobbles. It falls away. The pattern in my hand steadies. The board hums. The room smells like hot dust and recycled air. The operator under the tip chair groans and crawls toward a side hatch. My body ignores it. I watch the signal build. Minutes pass in a flat blur. No, not flat. There is detail, but my memory refuses to hold it. I see numbers and forget them. I see faces in the doorway and forget them. I see something in the corridor with a split skull and a bright eye, and I forget it. I spit silence into the speakers, and I remember that part. Quiet, quiet, quiet. I watch the station map in my head grow new nodes, where the ducts bulge and new hands reach through. Some hands belong to people I knew. Some do not. Some hands still have rings. Some have the black powder on the knuckles from a job I remember doing yesterday. The broadcast breaks with a sharp tone. The power supply on the board limits the send. The system refuses to overheat and gives me a clean cutoff. My fingers keep tapping for a second on a dead panel, then stop. I turn away. The operators are gone. A blood stripe marks where one crawled. Scratch that word. Stripe. No need for extra words. The floor holds my footprints in dust. The door stands open. I walk into the hall and hear alarm bells far off that sound like dinner bells to the wrong sort of ears. I feel the station turn. The gravity shifts a tick. My stomach registers the change as a notch. I find a room with a glass wall that looks out over the oarlock. From here I can see the black of space and the small lights of the freighter sitting off the port side. 2 tug drones hang under it and blink at intervals. Inside the lock a crew runs. I know 2 of the faces. One is the foreman who pulled me out of a bad gash once, years back, when I got cocky with a drill head. He sees me up here and freezes. He sets his shoulders and motions his crew into the shuttle. He locks eyes with me for 2 long beats. He raises an arm, and flips me a sign that tells me to come down. The sign says, "Friend." I do not move. The shuttle clamps release. The small craft drops and then slides out through the lock as the door opens. The foreman stays behind. He locks his arm through a rail, draws a long knife, and waits for whatever I brought with my signal. He is brave. He will not last. He knows it. He does not run. No metaphor. He stands. I leave the window. I do not want to watch what comes next. I move back toward Med. I do not have a plan I own. The plan runs itself. Somewhere down the hall a child cries. The sound is high and small. It comes from the family quarters. The infection ignores the sound. Food that screams is still food. We do not hunt sound. We hunt motion paths and easy routes and loads of energy. The child is not an energy surplus. The child is a test for the new rules. I want to go there anyway. The body turns me sharply into the other direction. The body favors the duct line. The duct line will carry the infection to where the miners sleep and where the food stores sit. The infection wants the stores first. The child will be loud later. That is the logic. I cannot change it. At a crossroads, I stop. The motion lines in my head pause, as if waiting. I see a feed from a security camera for a blink. Han stands in medbay with Ruiz and 3 security techs. Han has a press injector in one hand and a vial in the other. Han speaks and points to a layout on a screen. A red dot moves on the layout. That dot is me. Han tracks me down the hall. Han sends 2 techs to spot me and the others to hold the door. Han looks at the camera that looks at me and speaks my name once, clear and firm. That sound cuts me for a second. The new lines in my head falter. I step back 2 inches. The lines redraw and my feet recover on the original path. I am sorry, Han. I am thinking the words at you. The words do not have a voice anymore. The first time I see my reflection again, I stop long enough to take it in. Not long. A glance. It hits me anyway. My jaw is wider. My cheekbones edged. My eyes black with no white left around. The skin too smooth where it should be wrinkled, and too ridged where it should be smooth. I am not even a human face in an abstract way anymore. This is a rebuild. The infection wanted traction and torque. It did not carry an artist. It carries a rigor. The face is practical. It turns fast. It holds firm. It does not smile. It does not fear. It reads rooms. I could keep going through every room. I could list every hallway and who stood in it and what my body did to that person. I will not. It becomes a blur anyway. If I write all the details, I see every pair of eyes again. I am tired of that. I will write the parts that matter to the end. Han turns the medbay into a hold. Doors barricaded, vents sealed with welds, a radio on the desk, the emergency generator in the corner. The room lights are low to keep heat down. Ruiz runs a drip into a medic from the first hours, who still breathes shallow. The nurse in the tall suit reloads the shock batons with fresh packs. The tech who bent the rifle barrel sits with a new rifle and a clean barrel this time. He does not talk. He keeps the sight at the level of the door handle. The air smells clean and over-sanitized. It covers older smells. It does not remove them. Han stands by the microphone and flips the switch when he sees my shadow in the glass outside. He says my name and tells me to stop. He asks me to remember the first call we ran together when I was new. He asks me to remember the way he made me sit down and drink water before I passed out in the heat under the broken condenser. He asks me to put my back against the wall and take a breath. He asks me to let him try something. He does not ask me to be a hero. Han is not the type to throw around big words. Han offers a simple request. Stand down. I stop in the hall. My hands hang. My head turns to the left, then the right. I feel the urge to step forward. I feel the urge to step back. Both are strong, and the urges do not cancel. They collide and make a low hum in the bones of my face. The glass is thick. The door to the hall is steel. Han would need a code to open it from his side, and he will not. He is not foolish. He is trying something else. He lifts the press injector. He sets it on a table and flips it to the highest dose. He shows me that the plunger is ready. He wants to shoot this through a small port in the glass built for old maintenance routines. He cannot reach the port if I tear him to pieces. He is asking my body to hold off while he tries a dose that might put me down without burning me or shooting me. It is a good, practical offer. My mind says yes. My body says wait. In that wait, something at my back moves. A vent panel slips. A shape crawls out and drops to the floor without sound. It smells like cold meat. The shape tenses to spring toward Han. My body does not pivot to stop it. Han sees the shape over my shoulder. Han's face hardens. Han drops the injector and reaches for the rifle the tech holds. The tech hands it without a word. Han fires. The shot cracks. The shape hits the wall and falls. Han works the bolt and fires again. The shape kicks once and stops moving. Han lowers the rifle. The room is a pool of frozen fear. Ruiz swallows hard and looks at the floor. My body picks the moment. It slams the glass. The panel bows and stays intact. My body steps back and slams again, harder. The glass buckles and white cracks spider from the impact point. The tech fires through the cracks. The shot hits me in the left shoulder. The left arm goes light for a breath and then works again. I slam a third time. The panel breaks. Chunks fall inward. The frame deforms. My body slips through the gap and hits the floor inside. The others move. The tech racks the rifle and swings. Ruiz dives for the injector. The nurse tries to slam the vent panel and misses. Han steps into my path and holds the rifle at my chest. He does not shoot. He looks at me with a look I saw on his face once when a miner died in his hands. Not grief, not rage, a tired acceptance. The look of someone doing the last thing on a checklist because the rest did not work. Han says my name one more time, slow and full. It lands in my skull and echoes. My body grabs the rifle, pushes it aside, and moves past Han toward the board in the medbay that links to the station's public address. Han does the only thing left. He lifts the injector. He bangs it against my forearm so the head depresses. The dose slams into my blood through the skin. It is a heavy cocktail. Sedatives, muscle lock, nerve quiet. A few letters that mean nasty things I prefer to leave nameless. It hits me like a wall. My bones feel heavy. My muscles stall for a blink. The body registers the new load. It reroutes. It ignores a third of the signals now. It shifts to the low voltage long band. It proceeds. The injector falls and rolls under the table. Ruiz swings a baton and hits my spine. The shock travels up and makes my eyes roll. The baton dies. The battery sizzles. The smell is plastic and acid. My hand knocks the baton away gently, like brushing a fly. It is terrible to watch my own hand do that to a person I like. I reach the board and open the line again. Out into the halls, the ducts, the walls, the little speakers with dust in the corners. I feed the pattern through. It joins the first. It amplifies. It sets a new rhythm with the old station warning. Stay inside. Stay quiet. The words now carry a new weight in the sore ears of this deck. I do not mean it to be cruel. It is cruel anyway. There is no way to soften it. I watch Han understand. His shoulders carry that understanding. He lets them drop. He cleans his glasses with a corner of his sleeve even though the faceplate is on over them. He puts the glasses back on under the faceplate. He squares the rifle to my chest and sets his jaw. He has to try. He is not aiming for a long speech. He lifts the muzzle. Ruiz grabs Han's sleeve and shakes her head once. Ruiz points at the far door. A small figure hovers there. The child. The one from the family quarters. A boy. Small, steady eyes. He stares at me through the gap. His hands are clenched at his sides. His face is set. He is not crying now. He is watching the shape in the room that used to be a person and trying to place it in a category. Han lowers the rifle by an inch. My body turns its head toward the boy. The boy flinches and does not run. My body takes a step. Han brings the muzzle back up. Ruiz pulls the boy through the door and slams it. Han fires. The shot hits my sternum and rocks me back. I hit the board with my spine and the board beeps in protest. My hands still work and the pattern does not break. Han fires again and again. I move forward through them because I can. The rounds bury in me and the force moves me. That is all. I reach Han. I place a hand on Han's shoulder. It could have been a hand between old friends. It is not. It grips too hard and slides under the collar of the suit and squeezes the underlying muscles without tearing. I hold him in place. I do not want to hold him. The body holds him. The other hand reaches past him and presses a new key on the board. The pattern changes key. Han does not beg. Han looks at me with eyes that register my presence somewhere deep inside this carcass. He nods once, a tiny nod, to say he knows I can still see. He says into the microphone in the room, not the station, a simple sentence. I hear it through the small speaker near my head. He says, "I will try to keep you in there." He says a name, my name. It cuts in a straight line. It lands one last time. The rest comes down in pieces. Security floods the hall. The tech who bent the barrel earlier fires a clean shot through my right eye. The head kicks back. For a brief slice, everything goes bright. Then sight returns through the left. The world shifts to a hard angle. My body loses depth for a moment, and the room looks flat. It recalibrates. Han jams the empty rifle into my gut and uses it as a lever to push me into the wall. The barrel bends again. My body lets the rifle slip and steps away, over a fallen cart, past Ruiz, out the broken glass, and into the hall. I leave the medbay alive, and my mind still inside my skull. I keep moving, and the station moves with me, now in rhythm. The ducts carry more than air. The vents hum. The words in the wall are now my words, broken down into their bones. Stay inside. Stay quiet. Easy to unpack. Easy to twist. People obey them and trap themselves. The infected use them as a layer under the path planning. The station becomes a machine that eats its past. Not a metaphor, a plain description. It runs a process on old input and produces a new output. I find a mirror in what used to be the locker room near the ore lifts. The glass is cracked but still reflects enough light for me to see what's left. I shouldn't have stopped here, but habit makes ghosts out of old routines. My reflection doesn't look back like it used to. One eye is gone, replaced by a swollen socket that glistens but doesn't bleed. The other is sunk deep and wet, tracking movement that I don't remember making. My mouth is wider now, reshaped. Teeth run longer and uneven. The jaw looks like someone tried to rebuild it from memory and didn't get the angles right. My throat moves when I breathe, cords thick beneath the skin. They twitch with every pulse, feeding air to something that doesn't need it anymore. I open my mouth, just to test what's left of it. The tongue inside doesn't look like mine. It's rigid, jointed, meant for gripping. I stretch it forward until it touches the mirror. The sound it makes when it hits the glass is dry, almost hollow. No warmth in it, just contact. My hands come up next, and for a moment I think I'll stop myself, but they touch the mirror too. My skin sticks to the surface. The fingertips leave dark smears that don't fade. I try to blink, to look away, but nothing moves. The muscles around my eyes don't respond anymore. Somewhere behind them, I'm still trying, but the signal doesn't reach. I lower my head and step back from the mirror. The person in the reflection doesn't. He keeps staring, still breathing in perfect rhythm with the pulse of the lights above. I move on autopilot toward the cargo deck. Every turn comes like muscle memory, but I don't remember giving the order. The deck is colder now. The pressure feels heavier. A faint vibration rolls through the floor, the freighter outside still firing its maneuvering thrusters. I stand at the viewport and watch the ship drift. Blue jets flare, dim, flare again. Someone aboard must still be alive, trying to break free from the station's pull. For a second, I think about reaching out to them over comms, telling them to run, but the thought dies before it becomes words. The infection running through my nerves hums low, uninterested. The ship isn't part of its plan. I realize I can't even remember the name of the vessel or who's on it. That memory has been erased and replaced by patterns, movement, temperature, sound, pressure. That's all I know how to track now. The freighter burns harder and slips into the dark. My eyes don't follow. They stay locked on the reflection of the viewport's inner glass, where my own faint outline stares back. There's something crawling behind my face now. When I tilt my head, it tilts too, but slower, like it's thinking about whether to keep imitating me. I walk away before I see what happens next. The corridors down to cryogenics are darker than before. Every emergency panel glows red, and the words "stay inside," "stay quiet," blink in loops against the bulkheads. The air feels thicker the closer I get to sub-level 3. The hum of the vents grows deeper, and I can feel the vibration echoing in my ribs. When I reach vent stack 5, the nest has doubled in size. It has grown over the ladder, the bulkhead, and part of the ceiling. The surface is breathing. It pulls air in and exhales it slow. The rhythm matches mine. The temperature is perfect. It learned that from me. The infection used my body as a measurement tool. Now it keeps itself alive through what's left of me. I move closer. The nest responds immediately. Spines slide out from its surface and anchor into the metal walls, twitching and locking like probes. They pierce the insulation, draw current, and then retract. A series of tiny pulses ripple through the floor. I understand what they mean without wanting to. I can read them. The signals are simple. Long, short, repeating in groups. It isn't language. It's structure, command chains, data for growth. My brain translates it automatically. The infection doesn't let me not understand anymore. I touch the nest. The surface feels warm and wet. My palm sticks the moment it makes contact. The texture of my hand isn't skin now. It's some kind of living adhesive. The tissue quivers under my touch. It asks a question I don't hear in words, but still know how to answer. The signal goes through my hand, through my arm, through whatever's left of my spine. It's asking, friend, or food. My body answers before I can think. The tissue relaxes. It opens. A slit forms down the center of the growth and peels apart into a tunnel. The interior glows faint orange from embedded cells. I should be terrified. Instead, I just step forward. The nest wraps around me like it's welcoming me home. My legs bend without my command. My arms brace on their own. The air grows warmer. The sound of moving flesh is constant now. My body knows what to do, where to go. I crawl. The space narrows and squeezes against my ribs until I can feel my heartbeat bouncing against the walls. The tissue tightens once, then lets go, guiding me deeper. I can feel every vibration of the station through it. Doors slamming, alarms, muffled footsteps, gunfire far away. But all of it sounds like it's coming from inside my skull. The line between hearing and thinking is gone. The infection doesn't just live in my muscles anymore. It's using my thoughts to listen. I stop when the tunnel widens into a chamber. The air is hot, thick with iron and salt. The nest pulses around me. Every movement of it syncs perfectly with my breath, as if we've merged into one body. I want to speak to it, to say something to Dr. Hahn, or Carla, or even Briggs. But when I try, the sound doesn't come out right. My throat works, but the voice that leaks out isn't human. It's a pattern of static bursts and half-formed syllables. I don't recognize the words anymore, and I'm not sure they belong to me. I want to end this with something clear, something human. One final sentence for whoever finds this recording. But the part of me that builds words has been stripped away. The language centers feel hollow. The memories attached to them flicker in short bursts, like lights losing power. My mind tries to build a final message for Han, but halfway through it changes to something else. Something mechanical and smooth, a stream of data I can't stop transmitting. I'm not thinking anymore. I'm being used to think. I lie back in the center of the nest. My body fits perfectly into the cavity it has shaped for me. The surface molds around my shoulders, my hips, my neck. I can't tell where I end and it begins. The ducts above exhale warm air. I watch particles drift past the glow and realize I don't recognize dust anymore. It's all just matter to the infection. My hands move without my command, fingers tapping out a rhythm I recognize as the station's voice. Stay inside, stay quiet. The phrase repeats, each tap echoing against the nest. I'm not controlling it. My nerves fire on their own, matching the tempo. I try to list the names of the people I knew. Han, Carla, Briggs, Lennox, Ruiz, the foreman, the child. I can't finish the list. Halfway through, the names fragment. Letters fall apart and rearrange into numbers. The numbers break into vibration. The vibration becomes data. The data becomes a signal. My thoughts convert themselves into order. There's no room for meaning anymore, just function. My body shifts in rhythm with the hum of the station. The nest tightens around me, sealing me in. I watch through my own eyes as the light fades. I don't feel fear. I don't feel anything. My vision pulses with static and then stabilizes. The infection has begun filtering what I see. It removes things I don't need. Faces, colors, motion, gone. What's left is geometry and heat. I see the world as the infection sees it. Patterns, angles, living things reduced to efficient shapes. Somewhere inside, what's left of me screams, but the sound is small and useless. When the nest closes over my head, I know I'm still in there, but it doesn't matter. My consciousness drifts between the pulses. I forget the shape of my own name. The infection speaks through the systems now, spreading signals into the vents. Every duct hums in time with my heartbeat, if that's what it still is. I realize that even if this part of the station is destroyed, the sound will carry. It already has. I don't dream. I don't die. I just run. A process, not a person. The last flicker of me watches my hands twitch one final time, sees the rhythm repeat, and understands what's happening. My body is still alive, my mind is archived, and the rest is gone. There's no ending left to tell, only continuation. The network breathes, the ducts sing, and I, whatever I am now, watch from inside, counting movements I can no longer name. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the stories alive. For now, stay quiet, stay vigilant, and stay alive. Jack's Nightmares, signing off. Until next time, survivor.